Good morning, Overload Nation. Adrian here, and I've just read an article talking about violence and video games and how video games are supposedly the cause for a lot of violence in society, and that people instinctively believe that when there are shootings, whether it's at Charleston or elsewhere, that people blame video games straight away, and this is not always the case and not always the cause. There are articles out there that talks about video games not increasing violence in society, and I want to point out that a few years ago, say 2 or a year and a half, something like that, or 3 years ago, President Obama did launched a academic study that cost a few $100 million about conclusively deciding whether or not video games are good or bad when it comes to violence. And as of the recording of this video on the 17th of July, well, I've not really heard much news from it. And I don't really know what's going off with that study, but more than likely, if it didn't hit headlines, because the president started it, if it didn't hit headlines, then I don't think either it's completed, even though it's supposed to take a year, or it didn't actually find anything worthwhile broadcasting and hoping everyone forgets. But I didn't. So there's a study that talks about how video games have no correlation between shooting fake people on a computer monitor or TV screen and real-world aggression. There's a quote here by the person who did one of the studies, as it says, "Following violent tragedies involving young men, many frequently point to violent video games as a cause for the behaviour, but the research does not back this up." Ferguson says, the person who did the study, "As violent video games become more popular, it was understandable for them to fall under intense scrutiny, and claims about their harms and benefits may have been exaggerated, including by the scholarly community." So violent video games aren't actually that bad. I think the only cause for alarm in general is that, according to another study, sitting down for long periods of time increases anxiety. But at the same time, I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm pretty sure you know dozens of people, and I know probably dozens of people who have done that as well for a very long time, but we just don't feel it. Just don't feel increased anxiety, or I don't feel that's the case. So it might be true, but you know, I don't have that from first-hand experience, and I sure as heck don't feel more violent from first-hand experience. And I know other people who have played games, whether at university or other studios, who don't feel more violent. And heck, I was even QA for Lego Jurassic World, and you know, there was like 20 of us, and none of us were violent on that. And at the same time, other games were being made, and no one was violent. So really, from first-hand experience, this whole idea about video games being violent is practically nonsense. It seems like a scapegoat. I think the people who blamed video games are well-intended, have well-intentions, but I think they got the wrong end of the stick in this case. But at the same time, because there's evidence that it causes anxiety, it is worthwhile remembering to have things like everything else in life, food, health, and all the rest, in consideration and in moderation. So gamers, play to your heart's content. Go to Game Overload and buy games. You know, I got loads of games that are cheap without having to wait for Steam sales, but at the same time, take it all in moderation. Try not to do 16 or so hours a day. Just do 8, take a break. Yeah, there's a quote. Just do 8, take a break. Just do 8, take a break. How cool is that? What are your thoughts and feelings on this? Any questions, comments, or queries? If you haven't already, subscribe. More videos to come.